listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, team. Johnson.
The AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California. Presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AFTERBUZZ TV's Survivor After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Survivor After Show.
Hey guys, Bing is for doing, and we are here with another after show for Survivor Season 26, Fans vs. Favorites. Snuck up upon us, the premiere finally came. I'm Justin Walter, your host, with fellow hosts.
AJ Gibson, what's up?
Hey everybody, Allen Carrillo.
And tonight we have a guest host, very special to have her in studio. Finally, we have Survivor Philippines, Dawson. So thank you for joining us, Dawson.
Right.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah. So we had you on last season a couple times over the phone, so it's awesome to have you in studio.
Yeah.
And you're a huge fan of the show as well.
I'm a huge fan of the show.
So before you became a contestant, you were a fan. So it's awesome to have you on this season.
Especially because Justin, we all know Justin
Yes.
is literally, I can't wait to see how tonight goes down. He's a super fan. He's wanted to get on the show for 26 seasons.
And it hasn't happened yet.
It's turning so red
I know.
right
I get it. I get to red because I get so worked up about Survivor.
It drives him nuts when we have guests on the show who know nothing about anything
But
other than their season.
she's going to be
so
great.
frustrating.
But
So excited.
It's also weird that you said that this snuck up on you. If you're such a huge fan, didn't you know?
You know what it is? It's because it's too overwhelming for me, and I just let it come up this time instead of counting down the days. You know, I did it with my friends. We did a Survivor draft today with a couple friends and stuff, so it's fun.
Did you eat 2 pizzas?
I didn't eat 2 pizzas. Usually I ate 2 Domino's pizzas before Survivor. That didn't happen.
Entire pizzas.
So the show, guys, it finally is here. Survivor Fans vs. Favorites, and you know we have all the contestants coming in. Let's talk about the cast real quick. The favorites. We got to talk about them first. What do you guys think of the collection? The scrappy collection, I would say, of favorites that we have for this season.
I would say we think what all the blogs say online, that everyone's just like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Question mark.
Yeah.
This ensemble is.
It's interesting to me because I know I'd read on the blog somewhere or seen an interview that Probst said that they're trying to create a new generation of favorites on the show. You can't bring back Parvati every single show. You can't have Russell Hanson every single season. It just can't happen. Although I do love Parvati.
And if you think about Parvati, she was on Survivor Cook Islands, and she wasn't a big Survivor kind of character until she went on Fans vs. Favorites. So hopefully out of this season we might get another Parvati. We might get a new Amanda, or whoever it is.
Well, I think I think this favorites cast though. I think they could easily be called the Forgettables. But there are a few.
It's more like producer favorites.
Yeah.
Right. I would also say too that the teams are very unfairly matched physically. Like it's very much like the weak versus like the strong.
Totally.
And like it's all blondes on the one side against
Yeah, you can't even tell the blondes and the fan side. It's all 4 blondes and 1
blondes
brunette.
versus nerds.
Yeah, and it's looking at the favorites. You have all these beautiful women. You have all these kind of, you would imagine, popular girls in high school, and then you have all the dorks. The guys are, besides Malcolm, are all dorks. You have Cochran, you have Erik, you have Brandon, you have Phillip. These guys are not your typical Survivor manly men playing the game.
I think what could happen this season, though, and I'm really hoping it does, there are a couple of really strong contenders on the favorites team, and as it happened with Boston Rob's season, that season was tailor-made for Boston Rob to win. They wanted that big storyline. They put him up against a lot of people who just weren't really there to play the game. Not a lot of fans of the game. I think that Malcolm coming back and Brenda coming back, and even maybe Cochran, I think the 3 of them have a really great opportunity to do something big in this game. And I think having some of those other weaker characters on, you can't call them characters, but competitors, they are characters. I think it really gives them the opportunity to really shine this season, and I hope that does happen. I avoid all spoilers, so if you guys know anything, don't tell me.
Don't tell me either.
But I really liked Brenda. What season was Brenda on one again?
Nicaragua.
Yeah, she was great.
Brenda.
So Dawson, when you're looking at the cast kind of comparatively, you know, with the mindset now, this is your first season watching the show as a former contestant.
Yes.
How is your assessment of the cast now that you actually played the game, you lived the experience? You're seeing what you were on one side with the fans, and then you're seeing what you are now with the favorites.
Well, I'm having a hard time really identifying with this group of fans. I've gone through all of their profiles online, and I feel like we had a lot of fans on my season.
You guys did.
Right.
We did.
Do you think, in kind of investigating the fans, do you think a lot of them are true fans or kind of ended up on the show and they're just being labeled as fans?
I mean, it's both.
Yeah.
You know, that's just the way casting goes.
I'd also say it's probably weird for you too, because this is your first time ever seeing it since you were not on it. And like, I would say that every time I watch a season, it is hard to identify with anyone. It takes a while to kind of get into the groove with everybody, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Yeah.
And
it's probably also a good thing that the favorites lost the first challenge. It gives us an opportunity to start to like some of these fans.
know them.
So if we go, actually, the first challenge was the reward challenge, which the favorites won. So they won 20 pounds of rice.
Which literally started when they
beans. Which
literally started as soon as the helicopter landed.
So tell us, what was the challenge?
What was it? Oh, they had to run and get a ring, and whoever brought it back first.
In water.
It was basically just a full-on wrestling match to see who could, a brute strength challenge.
And they were paired up, each team in two. Yeah. And so in terms of right away, we got the introductions right into a physical competition.
Which is interesting, though, because the fans look so stacked physically.
They are.
It's interesting that the very first challenge right out the gate, though, the favorites won?
No, the fans won.
The fans won. Okay.
So AJ walked in a little bit late. He was busy. Let's call it out.
I'm trying to figure this out right along with you.
So yeah,
Los Angeles traffic.
Los Angeles traffic.
Right.
So basically, what happens is right out of the gate we had the challenge, and as we've said, the fans are stacked. So physically, they dominated it, and in terms of the we're all getting confused here. Sorry.
The
fans didn't dominate.
The fans did not dominate at all. It was almost like it was only because I think they just got there. It was just
so
too
the
much
favorites
for
did
them.
win the first
The favorites won the first
like I said.
They really.
He didn't even watch and he got it right.
No, but remember one point to notice was that Francesca was like huge at like destroying people.
Oh, I got her and Phillip confused at one point during that competition.
Wow.
We're gonna have to edit this.
So one thing in terms of the challenge, we saw Malcolm. Malcolm is a favorite, but nobody has seen Malcolm's season. Since he was on your season, Dawson.
Yes.
He goes in with a clean slate, and history shows Rupert did this, Amanda did this. When people go in, Russell Hantz did it. When they go in with a clean slate, they tend to do better when people don't know their history and how they used to play the game.
I think you should explain just a little bit more, just so that people at home know that the favorites have no idea who he is.
Yes.
Like, because they basically filmed this right after the other one filmed.
Well, they started a few years back, I think, obviously for financial reasons, the production, whatever. They do these Survivor seasons back to back now. They do 2 at a time, 1 month, and then the following month on the same location, essentially, maybe a different beach on the same island or whatever. Which is why they now call one season whatever the location is, and the second season is usually heroes versus villains or fans versus favorites or Redemption Island or whatever. They're filmed in the same location. So this was the second one filmed last summer, I guess, and it's just now airing in the spring.
Yeah, so we filmed in April and May.
Yeah, so and Malcolm had, what, 2 or 3 weeks?
Yeah, he had a few weeks.
Between, and went right into another game.
Right, he knew before he got home, but he had a few weeks at home.
Yeah.
Dawson, physically, how do you think you would have done being thrown right back into Survivor? Do you think you could have handled it?
And that's the most difficult thing. I feel like you go through so much mentally and physically, like going back into the game. That's got to be the hardest part. I think that's the larger commitment. A lot of people think, oh, it's great because you're going out and you're staying out and you're just gone the entire time. But you've got to think he doesn't have the time to recover that some of these people had that played 6 years ago.
Or the second you do get to recover, you're going back, and usually you're using that first time to prep, to like mentally get ready for it. So it's,
I'm kind of curious because I look at it both ways. I see having no time to prep could be a really good thing. Maybe he's already in it. He's already there. He's already in that mind, the headspace, I guess, where he's a survivor. And some of these people haven't played in years. But on the other hand, though, I think that I can only imagine you're just out there thinking, just get to day 39, just get to day 39, and then to have to reset so quickly. That's kind of tough.
No, it's too tough, especially because he lasted so long in the Philippines. He was there right until the end.
Must have been funny at the finale for him, like to think, God, which game am I in?
I better not slip up right here.
Right. Can you imagine?
Well, the good thing for him in the reward challenge, he actually made a good first impression, and he spoke about that, where he won the reward challenge with, in the final round. So he took home the 20 pounds of beans with the rest of the favorites tribe. And then it was fun getting to see them go to camp. The favorites are saying, we've done this walk before. This is kind of repeating it. And then it's new for the fans. So on the fan side, we see that Shamar, the former Iraq Marine vet.
I have so many notes on this guy.
So Shamar, so what did you think of Shamar, Dawson?
Oh my God, his edit is really interesting. At first, he's getting this edit like, I'm just, he's lazy around camp. Why are you guys trying to build shelter? That's useless. You need to make water. But he's sitting there not doing anything. Right. And he's watching them, So that was interesting. But later on, his edit actually got better at the end of the show.
What's weird, he's sort of like the Francesca of that. But what's funny, too, is like, the first thing on the screen, it says Iraq vet. So you immediately like, okay, you respect this person. And then you just lose it in 2 seconds.
Immediately.
So over the top, out of control, screaming at people, carrying on.
And right away, he's the one who picks the first fight. Right away, he's already fighting with Matt.
Literally fighting within an hour.
And that's crazy. Like rule number 1: don't get into the first fight on your tribe.
Right.
And it's kind of, here we go right away. These fans are already fighting right away on their beach. So in terms of the fan side, their focus was clearly shelter, water, making fire. That was kind of the focus of the fans. Then we go over to the favorites, and Phillip dominates the favorite side.
Right.
Phillip
in his pink underwear.
What he calls the BR rule, the Boston Rob rules. 3 rules in order to get an alliance, form the alliances, and then get your alliance voted off before they vote you off. And what he does is he rallies his troops as Boston Rob would do. First, he goes to Corinne and says, I want to work with you. Then I want to work with Malcolm. And then why don't we bring in Andrea? And then he brings in Cochran and Erik. So he's already got his quote-unquote 6 Boston Rob alliance immediately on the beach.
Here's the problem with that. He's not Boston Rob.
No, he's Phillip.
He's nuts. He's so crazy. And like season 1, his first season, you couldn't really tell for most of the season if he's actually crazy or if that was just a strategy.
Right.
And we've met him in real life, Ryan and I have, and he's actually just crazy.
He's crazy.
And on the show, it comes through, and he's not afraid of it. It's kind of this character that he's become now. He's really just kind of owned up to it. He's nuts.
You're so right, though, that like he's not Boston Rob. Like he comes across so abrasive and rough that you're just like, even especially how we talk to Erik, because Erik is like such a meek, like very nice guy, and then all of a sudden he's literally rubbed him the wrong way. Like.
He's just a rude person. Yeah. He's not a very polite person.
And I love that Erik, here's Erik, who, Midwest guy, kind of, on his first season, he was the only returning fans versus favorite fan who's now a favorite, which I love that Erik's on this season.
Absolutely.
And so here he is, the first season, he was so intimidated and so impressed. Oh my gosh, Jeff Probst is here, and I'm playing with former survivors. He loved it. You could tell he's a true fan. And when Phillip approaches him out of fear, you need to work with me or you're gone. I love that Erik was just kind of like, screw Phillip.
Yeah. You're a loser.
You're a loser. And I'm not going to deal with what, you're thrown out there. And then he right away goes to Brandon and says, hey, Phillip's already threatening me. Let's go after this dude. I love that.
Yeah.
I'm excited about that.
I love Erik. I was so happy to hear he was coming back.
And one of the things about Phillip also is he's a type of character that's great to have around towards the end of the season. But because he'd be great to go to a final tribal council with, but that is so far away right now. Like you just have to vote the guy out.
I can't even commit that far right now.
Can you imagine? I cannot imagine being stuck on an island with him.
Well, it's funny because even when you were talking about that, I forget that Phillip was in the finals.
Yeah,
he was in the finals.
3.
You forget that Phillip was in the final 3, and
that's why
he was brought there because you're gonna beat him. He's psycho, and everybody thinks he's crazy.
Get him to final tribal council, and you'll win Survivor.
And that's so interesting, though, that somebody like him would come back, and Russell kind of did it as well. And Russell tried to tweak his game the second time he played, I believe, a little bit more. But to come back and to not adjust your game. Phillip's game will never, ever, ever win him Survivor. It just won't.
Right. Well, he thinks he's adjusting his game.
But now he's got the Boston Rob rules.
Yes.
He's got the Boston Rob rules and his 6-man alliance.
He's going to win. He's going to win.
He also literally thinks
because Boston Rob won the first time, right?
Yeah.
Or the second.
Third.
Yeah.
He also thinks he's like the T of Survivor. Like he thinks he's like the best player ever.
I think a better strategy would try the Sandra role. She's won it twice, and she's kind of the perfect floater. She's kind of, every season she's on, she's just kind of hangs around.
I was playing Sandra.
Yeah, and it can work. I think for somebody like him, because she has a big personality, you know, and she's great, but she's a sweetheart in real life, but she has a very similar personality to his, where she can be a little bit abrasive, a little bit loud, and I think that he could maybe try to use that strategy as opposed to the Boston Rob thing.
So in terms of the favorite side, Phillip wasn't the only one trying to make alliances. Right away, we also saw Andrea, Dawn, and Francesca talking. Let's work together. Let's get Cochran. We have a 4-way deal right here. Let's do this. Kind of a random group, but then when you think about it, there's so much history. You have to always look at the history of these players. Right. Andrea and Francesca know each other from their own season. You guys know a little bit more of the dynamics of players outside of the game. Where fans like myself, I don't know that. I don't know who's friends outside of the game. I don't know how that's going to affect the game being played. So you guys can probably speak on that.
Well, I'll tell you.
All right. Well, is this news?
No, that's not news. But, you know, like we said before, and we've had other people in here. There's reality events where everybody goes to, and I'm sure we'll see you there soon. And everyone, all these people, they're all friends, and if they're not friends, they at least know each other, and they at least have their phone numbers, or they're friends on Facebook. So this entire group, they've all known each other for a while, and some of them are good friends, some of them aren't good friends.
And most likely knew who was going back. Yeah, I know everybody signs contracts and everything else, but these people
gets
talk.
Out, of course. Well, it gets out.
Rumors start early.
We knew a year ago who was being considered to come back. We had a few friends that were up, and none of these people told us that they were going back. But I think that it's interesting that it came down to Andrea and Francesca at the end, though, because they are friends in real life. And I think that everybody else, they don't edit it and show you this, but everybody else knows that they're actually friends. So it probably makes some more sense.
Yeah. Of course, if you're like, hey, I got a call from CBS, we got to work together. I mean, there's definitely some behind-the-scenes advantages with the favorites coming back.
And I do think, though, as a fan, I would like to believe that although yes, they do know each other, and although yes, they have history, it is a situational game. And once you get out there, yes, you may have your pre-built alliances, your preconceived notions.
It all goes out the window.
It all goes out the window. So no matter how much, you have that history, you have that friendship, it does go out the window. We saw it even with
Boston Rob and Lex.
Yes, Boston Rob and Lex and Kathy in the first All-Star season. We saw it with Parvati and Amanda when they went back for Heroes and Villains. They were on different tribes, and then they're best friends in real life, and then they go against each other.
It's just like with any game. Like, you have a strategy going, hey, we're going to do this, and as soon as someone fires the gun, you completely freak out and you don't ever stick to what you're supposed to do.
What's really interesting, though, is that now, when was the last time they did fan versus favorites?
It was when Parvati did it season 16, I believe.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it was 10 seasons ago.
Eric's season.
Social media
10
and everything
seasons
is
ago.
so different now than it was back then that it kind of, the game of Survivor changes every couple of seasons. It's always evolving, and this is just another evolution of the game, because as much as they want to try to keep these people from contacting each other ahead of time before they're out there, CBS knows they all do, and the gameplay starts at home now, which is so crazy to me. Like, the gameplay started a couple of months before they even went out there. It's all part of the game.
For the fans, it doesn't necessarily. It starts, obviously when they get there, but I've heard rumors that even when you're at casting, you eye people up and you can kind of see who and that sort of thing.
You're locked in a hotel.
First impressions.
Right. And so you can see people walking around. Some people
size them up.
And I think first impressions right now, in terms of when we look at the fan side, let's give some attention to the fans, is huge. We see a high school dynamic going on. So when we look at the fan side, a lot of the airtime was dominated by Reynold. He, out of the group, is the big jock, the muscular guy in the group, and he automatically goes to Eddie, the fireman, and they both say, we're the two best looking dudes on this tribe, let's work together.
Which never works.
It doesn't never work. It can work when you're secretive about it.
It works at my house. Let's break this down.
I think what he said was, we're the only good-looking people here. The only good-looking.
I love that.
So you have
bromance.
Yeah, the bromance of Reynold and Eddie. But okay, the bromance can work if you guys are delicate and smart about how you handle it. What do? Individually, they get their women. They get their blonde women. You have Reynold who approaches Allie, and he's, quote, I don't know if I'm going to quote him, I'll paraphrase. He says, I like her. She's kind of under the radar. She's not the best looking out of the girls here, so that's better for me if she's not the best looking. But, we were paired up in the reward challenge. We have a good vibe. I'm going to go with her to the end.
Here's the thing. This is what I love about sorry, I'm just going to say it, straight guys. But this type of straight guy, the douchey kind of tank top wearing.
He's not
muscle.
douchey though. He's not douchey.
Obviously not.
We're the two best looking people here. That's douchey.
That was Eddie. That was Eddie.
But did he agree?
Yeah, Eddie said that.
Okay, so they're working together. Whatever. First of all, that strategy rarely ever works on Survivor. It always ends up being these guys that they keep around for a few challenges, and then somebody, and I don't know who it is quite yet, maybe one of the girls will work her magic, or even Matt. I mean, he could be a dark horse. You never know. Like one of these other people could step up down the road.
It's already happened.
Well, to be honest, the only reason that they even show that little clip is because the producers know they're just trying to make them look like an ass.
Yeah.
So there's something going to happen.
But
with
yeah, and then Eddie, then he approaches Hope, and he says to Hope, like, you know, she's my Southern belle. She's
pre-law. So
she's pre-law. She's a smart girl. But so what happens is you have these four, let's say, high school popular kids on the fan side who are the prettiest of the bunch. They all decide, you know, we're going to work together as a group of four. We have our 2 and 2, and then they're dumb. Okay, you can do that, but then be smart about it. Don't go sit in the water, flaunt, you know, together that you're a fun group, that you only want to hang out with each other, because what happens,
People
Dawson?
hate you.
What happens?
You go home.
You go home.
You don't have a majority
Not only
alliance. There's 10 people on your tribe. A 4 is not a majority.
And not only that, it's so obvious.
It's ridiculous. They're sitting out there in the water and calling themselves the cool kids. It's, oh, come on.
And here's the thing, though, those types of people,
ridiculous.
and we live in LA, so we've experienced this, I'm sure. Those types of people, they make those choices and choose their friends based on insecurities. So when you're all pretty and you're in a group, you're all also head cases, because the girls think each other might be prettier, the guys are sizing up each other's muscles and whatever else. It just doesn't work.
Yeah. Well, the one alliance that I do like out of the fan side, I think that grew to, I mean, it's only been one episode, but I like, is the one between Michael and Matt. They seem like a kind of an odd couple. You have this bearded, tattooed guy, and then Michael, who's this kind of older event planner. So and Matt and Michael, they already recognize, hey, we're the swing votes right now. We have 4 on one side, we have 4 on the other, and the 2 of us are basically going to pick a side, and we're going to decide, you know, eventually when we have to vote who goes. And you could just see when they're talking, they have a good vibe. They have a trusting vibe. It almost was like last season a Malcolm and a Denise type conversation.
That chemistry.
It was that chemistry where they click.
Yeah,
they click right away, and you can tell that these 2 are smart. They're, you know, you don't look at them and necessarily think they're going to be threats.
It's interesting because Survivor, you can usually tell within an episode or 2, maybe you can attest to this, like who, if everything, there's so much luck involved, but if you make a good alliance at the very beginning, it can mean everything from day 1, from hour 1, and those unexpected alliances have a history of going really far in this game.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and it's funny too, because we look at the other people. You look at Shamar, Laura, Sherri, and Julie. Julie didn't talk once.
I was about to say,
who is Julie? I'm glad we wrote her name down.
She's a race car driver.
Yeah, but she didn't talk.
She didn't say a word
once. Did she? I don't even remember seeing her on the show.
No.
And even Laura. Laura had one soundbite. Laura actually spoke about something that a lot of Survivor contestants that we've had on the show last season talked about. The sleeping situation. So the first night, or the first couple nights, sleeping. I remember when RS came on the show, he said, pay attention to who sleeps with who, because that is going to tell you who's aligned with who. Who slept with who and who cuddled. We had Reynold and Allie sleeping together. We had Eddie and Hope sleeping together, and even Sherri, the older, she's not even old, but the older woman on the fan side, already says, hey, these people weren't cuddling, they were actually hooking up. So it's kind of this kind of group that we didn't even see a lot. They're already calling out the cool kids alliance.
Yes.
Right. It doesn't take long.
There's so many issues within this tribe. Oh my God. Sherri really did call it out though, and it was great. What did you say?
I like her.
They're hooking up.
Yeah, they're hooking up.
Love her.
That's scary though, because you don't want to call people out this soon, I don't think.
Right.
She did it in her confessional. And she did it kind of with her alliance.
She kind of did it with her alliance.
Yeah, with her alliance. But that's the bond of the alliance. You need something to bond your alliance with. And what she did was creative. You guys, we're on the outside. If the outsiders get together, we will be the majority.
Right.
And that's kind of, that's the smart way to go about it.
Also in the beginning, you kind of just want to deflect attention to anyone.
Yeah,
so you're not the first one to go. And so two couples hooking up, obviously puts a big target target on their back.
That's Survivor 101. Is don't hook up the first night.
Is it?
Don't do it in front of everyone. I mean, run into the trees under a bush and hook up in the afternoon.
Or just hook up with Jeff Probst, right, Dawson?
Yeah, exactly.
That's what you should do,
We'll
right?
get to that later.
Just hook up with Jeff Probst.
The kids heard around the world.
Real quick, though, I want to take just a moment, you guys, for all of our iTunes listeners out there to pose this question to you. What is, so you say Survivor 101, what is the single most important decision to make on day one? If you guys were on Survivor, do you think alliances are more important? Do you think that it's more important to just go out there and work hard? What do you guys think? So we want to know. Get on iTunes, leave us comments. Also rate us. Please give us 5 stars. And tell your friends about us. We do get on there. We do comment back. We're in, what, 77 countries now around the world? What are the actual numbers?
We get like 25 to 27 million downloads a week, so it's 3.5 a day.
That's insane. So if you guys could do that for us, we would really appreciate it. There's also an app for your guys' iPhone. It's so easy. It's a free app by Apple, actually. It's called Podcasts with an S. You can have all of your favorite AfterBuzz shows automatically downloaded to your phone, so you can listen to us in your car, or you can listen to us on a treadmill, anywhere you want to listen to us. We'd really appreciate that, you guys. And also, let us know what you guys think. What would be your strategy if you were on Survivor day one? And we will get on there and we will comment back, you guys.
Great.
Thank you so much, though, for listening. And same thing on YouTube, you guys. You can get on YouTube and leave us comments as well. We check them daily. So we'll comment back.
Yeah, I think one of the classic strategies of day one is forming that alliance and forming that longevity. And I think why I think part of that, and Dawson, you can attest to this from being on the show, is I feel like when you create something on day one and you add that weight of it being loyalty, an accomplishment, a goal, that adds more of a reason to stay loyal and a reason to stick with that person, because when you get to the end, you can say, we stuck together from day one.
Exactly. The phases you go through in this game, you start out okay and, you know, everybody's physically fine and you're just like, oh, excited, we're out here, let's play together, let's work together, let's form an alliance. And then 10 days later, you're exhausted, you're, you know, famished, and you've got nothing left, but you've got that bond.
Yeah, right. And you have to be careful, because even though the people that you're voting out now are not going to be on the jury, the people that are on the jury are witnessing all of this. Yeah, They're still around, so it does have an impact down the road.
The thing is, Cochran kind of mentioned this, you know, during Tribal, was that like the advantage of being fans versus favorites, and how like they're still trying to figure it out, because they're still having fun. Like you show up, you get to talk, you finally get to talk to these people. You're like, oh my God, we're on a TV show. We're gonna be on TV. It's beautiful. We're on the beach. I don't have to work for 30 days. Like you're having this whole, you're like, I'm on a vacation. So you have to like turn that side off and really focus on like how much strategy goes in from day one.
Do we really think though, just to be just playing devil's advocate, do you really think it's easier to go out there as a fan or as a favorite? Because me personally, if I was on a fans team, being a huge fan of the show, if they're actually legitimately fans, I would go out there and feel like I want to dominate these guys, because every single season, most of each tribe, there's probably 5 or 6 people on any season that have a legitimate shot at winning the thing. Everybody else, for the most part, they go out there and like, this is cool. I hope I can make it to the jury. I don't have that mindset, and I think a lot of people do.
I agree with you, but I think a lot of people, if you interview them, I think that everyone thinks that they're going to win. Oh, we're going to come back. Their grandma's like, come back with $1 million.
I think a lot of people say they think they're going to win. I don't think that most people really believe they can actually go out there and win it. I think they just want to see how long they can last.
I don't know. I just think that a lot of the people that they cast in these shows are personalities, and they usually think they can do anything, whether they can qualify at all. I bet you this Allie girl who's a bartender thinks that she is like a Survivor like super fan.
Did you go out there thinking you were going to win it? Did you really believe you would, or did you just hope you'd make it far?
I was so freaking excited about playing this game. Like the money, that's the most frustrating thing about playing as a fan, is you get out there and you're like, oh my God, I'm playing Survivor. Holy shit, I've been trying to do this forever. and you're not thinking about the game. You're not strategizing. You're like, it's so beautiful. Oh, there's Jeff Probst. Oh my God. You know, so that's what's difficult about being a fan. I think coming back as a favorite. But
before you went there, did you think you were going to win, or were you like, I could win this game? I've seen it enough.
Oh, I totally thought, hey, I could win this. And then in the back of my head, I'm thinking to myself, who cares about winning? You're going to play Survivor. You know?
There you go.
So,
No, it's interesting. So in terms of the episode, we then went to the immunity challenge, where it was a 4-story kind of complex, or I don't even know how to describe that.
It was like a scaffolding sort of, like a, but like hard. high voltage scaffolding.
Yeah.
It was like this huge thing they built. It was crazy.
So they had to send 2 people at a time running up, and there were 4 levels. The first team had to go to the first level, climb up a ladder, then throw boxes onto a platform where they crashed and sandbags came out, and do that 4 times. And the favorites were dominating in the lead once the whole throwing the sandbags was down, and then it came down to Malcolm tossing the bags into a target. He had to hit 6 targets. So Malcolm had, about 3 or 4 lead when the fans finally got to start throwing the bags. And Reynold, he decided, he was going to throw the bags. One by one by one by one, Reynold was nailing them.
Great shot.
Great shot, and I think we saw the Malcolm curse. Malcolm loses challenges. Malcolm didn't end up winning. The favorites lost the challenge. Reynold came back from behind, scored it, and I was flashing back to, do you remember in the challenge when Malcolm in your season, Dawson, he couldn't hit he had to break the urns of rice with the moving ball or whatever it was, and they were in such a big lead. It was the first time they're going to win a challenge, and then he couldn't do it.
And that's got to haunt him too, because he does so well in individual challenges. It's so crazy that because what it really came down was an individual challenge between him and Reynold, and that's really what it came down to. And again, he comes up short, which is and
he makes it to the very, very end. It's not like he's off from the beginning. He's like ready to win, and then you're like, oh, he's for sure gonna win. He's so far ahead,
and that's got to creep into his head. Like, I don't want to go through this again. I do not want to be on the losing tribe again this season. Although it worked out pretty well for him last time, but not a good strategy to try twice.
Yeah, and the challenge was when we saw it, we were like, whoa, this is going to be awesome.
Right.
It was kind of lame.
Yeah, it was kind of a letdown, right?
It was boring.
It wasn't.
And it was kind of.
It wasn't very challenging.
And it wasn't a team challenge. It was you and a partner ran up and then slid down a fire pole, and that's all you did. And you maybe threw some boxes off the top of the thing.
Right.
So it wasn't
visually
that
it was
exciting.
cool, but it just didn't really look very challenging.
They weren't even running down the beach. They ran maybe 50 meters.
Yeah. So and then in terms of that's when the favorites then go back to camp and all chaos breaks out. The alliance are scrambling. It was so crazy to see the history that played. You see Dawn and Cochran reuniting and kind of being that we're going to be the swing players again. Let's stick together. Then you see Phillip versus Francesca, where Francesca's worried. I'm not going to be. I can't be the first one out again. And at one point in the episode, she said, "If I'm the first one out, I'll eat this rock." And she showed a rock. And she's like, "I'll eat this rock, Francesca." Hope you have that rock.
Open wide.
I hope you have good dental
I'm going to go drown myself.
I'm going to go drown myself. So what do you guys think of the strategy in terms of the chaos? It was at first it was Phillip's going to go. It was Phillip versus Francesca. Right. And then it turned into, Andrea is being shady because Brandon Hance. What's the history with Brandon Hance?
He hates pretty girls.
He hates pretty girls. He hates smart pretty girls.
Correct.
He's intimidated by women that are intelligent and smart. So who does Brandon want to change instead of Phillip? Who does Brandon want out?
Andrea.
Right. And Brandon always changes his mind at the last minute, and it's always some rush chaos at the end. But in my opinion, it was always going to be either Phillip or Francesca, just because, again, they're the most crazy and ridiculous on day one.
He's a Hance, and their strategy is chaos. They like to create chaos. He did it, Russell did it, the other one did it on Big Brother. They try to create chaos in every one of these seasons, and nobody can really do it quite like Russell.
No, not even close.
Not at all.
Yeah, so in terms of alliances, we saw it kind of broke down. We saw Brandon and Erik kind of having a little kind of alliance going with, they didn't show her a lot. Brenda is involved in that. Brenda kind of falls on that side of the alliance. Then you go to the other side where it's really Malcolm, Phillip, Andrea, and Corinne kind of dominant force on that side. Are these odd pairings? What do you guys think of these kind of alliances?
Kind of, because we didn't really see much interaction with them. Like Brenda hardly talked at all, Malcolm hardly talked at all, and Corinne hardly talked at all. So we didn't really get to see the dynamics of anyone's relationship yet. But it's just, there's so much information to show in the first episode.
Yeah, and it was, I mean, no surprise that it was such a scramble on the favorite side before the first tribal council. No surprise at all.
Right.
In terms of Dawson, last season, you guys, in terms of scrambling, do you feel like this was more or less compared to what you experienced?
Oh, they scrambled so much, so much, and it's you always want your first few votes to be unanimous.
Pretty solid,
Kinda easy.
Really solid and easy. The fact that the votes came so close, and this is the first episode of the season, I think is just.
I would have liked to have seen more of the behind the scenes, because I wish the premiere is normally 2 hours, so just being an hour and a half, there obviously wasn't enough time, because I definitely wanted to see. I mean, that was the best part of the episode, was the scrambling to me.
And it was, you saw Francesca so paranoid. It's almost like she was so paranoid.
She doomed herself.
She doomed herself. And Phillip even said this girl last time around, she doomed herself by over strategizing and overplaying, and she was crazy. What did she had? It almost seemed like she had a set Phillip thing going, right? Let's get Phillip out. Then she's like, what if Phillip found the idol? What if they're being too crazy? They're being too calm. We need to prepare. We need to start splitting the votes. And she's crazy. She went crazy.
Well, she went into this season trying to pick up where she left off last time with Phillip, and she went in with a vendetta. You cannot do that. You can't try to like get somebody back for something that happened to you multiple seasons ago. You have to start with a clean slate.
It's just really bad energy, and it's just never going to work.
That's exactly what I was going to say. And also, when you put that, we both think this way. When you put out a certain energy into the universe, it always comes back to you. If you go out there saying, "I do not want to get voted out first again. I do not want to get voted out first again," you're going to get voted out first again.
I will eat this rock.
Because how many?
I will drown myself.
Okay, exactly. And she put it out there.
How many people do you think told her to do not get voted out first?
know.
Like all that pressure to go on there.
And I feel for her because she is a sweetheart. She's the nicest
She's the
person,
first one to be won twice.
I think so.
Yeah, so Francesca, clearly tribal council, Francesca got voted out. That's the first time that's ever happened. One, they brought back someone who's been voted off first. I mean, when I saw this cast even tonight, Francesca to me is a nobody player. As a fan of the show, she's a nobody. Yes, she's getting an opportunity to play again because she was voted off first, and maybe her and the Phillip thing would cause some more drama. But to me, it was kind of like I don't really care that she's gone.
The drama was insignificant because it was one episode, and that's when they introduced everybody. The least amount of airtime you're going to get.
Yeah. And let's just be really honest. I'm going to be blunt and say it. They have a certain way they cast these shows. They need a black guy and a black girl. They really do, and it's so sad. But there's always like one Asian person, a couple of black people.
They could have had Sabrina.
Sabrina.
You know who they should have brought back? I'm just going to say it. Taj. Oh,
Taj
one of my favorite players of all time.
She's only played once as well. Taj would have been great too. There's do you guys ever read the book The 48 Laws of Power? No. But it's a great book for people going on reality TV shows.
Can you list all 48 now? Go.
No, but one of them is don't trust your friends, trust your enemies. And I almost feel like it's because you have more to lose. Your friends will stab you in the back quicker. And if you really can form an alliance with an enemy, if Phillip and Francesca could have implemented that could have been awesome.
And because you can always trust your enemy because you always know what they're doing.
Yes.
You know, if they're open up, look, I don't like you. I don't like you either. Great. At least we understand that. Let's move on and play the game.
So it actually turned out, though, to be Francesca versus Andrea. There went 6 votes for Francesca and 4 votes for Andrea. The people who voted for Andrea, we had Francesca, Brandon, Erik, and then Brenda. And then everybody else voted for Francesca. So it's interesting that it was their friends in real life, right? You guys say that they're really good friends in real life.
They both live in New York.
They both live in New York. They're probably really good friends, and that it came down between them because the whole Brandon switching the vote to the independent, powerful.
The fact that anyone even listened to Brandon is just crazy. But I guess again, on the first day, you're just trying to get in the swing of things again, and like, why am I listening to this guy?
Yeah.
I would just be irritated that he's even there. Another Hans. I mean, come on.
Yeah. But you don't want to piss him off.
Yeah.
I mean, as much as you don't want to work with him, you don't want to piss him off.
I just think I could go toe-to-toe with him and wouldn't have anything to worry about because he's crazy.
You could, but you wouldn't last for 2 seconds because those types of people, you can have that. There's definitely that side to you.
Right.
That side of your personality comes out and it's not pretty. And I think that what would happen to you, it could happen to me, I think definitely would happen to you, is that you would be it would be a vindictive sort of game then as opposed to playing the strategy because
you got to watch what you say and I'm not good at that at all. But I have a lot of friends here, so I think I'd be okay.
Yeah. So, Ryan, you have some news and gossip for us, right?
We do.
Hit that real quick.
AfterBuzz TV News.
Well, on a very sad note, the Jeff's Probst show is no more. They've been canceled after 1 season and
one partial season.
Can we take a moment of silence?
You must be devastated by this because he's your guy.
He's my man, but honestly, I'm not. I don't really support anything he does that's not Survivor, including his wife.
You heard it here first, people.
Yes, she's still on it.
I don't think anybody's really shocked, probably Jeff included. We actually Ryan and I went to a taping the very first week, and it's just not the right format for him. Right. Not that something else might not come along in the future.
What I loved about the show was, sorry to cut you off, is that when you go in the green room, it's very social media based, and that was like all in the background, but it didn't really transfer over to the show because there wasn't any tweets, there wasn't any of that stuff on the show. It was all backstage, so it's like you get this hype backstage and it didn't move forward because the guests that were on were always like really like much older and very much more adult topics. It wasn't like, It was really weird.
And
also,
when we were there, it was all geared towards men, which was odd.
It was
the daytime audience is women.
Yeah.
He's such a great interviewer too, and it didn't work.
I feel like it was too constricting. I feel like he's not the type to ever read off of a teleprompt. He's just not.
And then one thing I went to a couple tapings as well, and I actually saw him when he co-hosted with Lisa. Lisa Whelchel became his co-host.
You're such a stalker.
I love Lisa, I love Jeff, you know, and I love Survivor. But I liked seeing Lisa co-hosting with him. They were kind of fun together, and they were good co-hosts. And I wish maybe that could have had more time to see how that.
To be honest.
He needed to co-host. But the one thing too was when she was co-hosting, it was almost like she was a guest. You know, it wasn't. So I think they needed a little more time to develop Lisa as a co-host, and it could have been good.
It was weird too on the on one of the episodes that we saw too. They'd have like the first part of the show, this older guy and how he's getting girls, like whatever the topic was, and then they'd have like a hot topic section, and they would use those same guests from earlier, and it was just like, what makes these guys' opinions relevant?
Now they're hot.
Well, they're trying to do the panel thing because it works for Chelsea lately, and it kind of works for the Kathy show. So everybody's trying to do that 3-person panel thing right now, but
you don't do the panel, the 3-person with the guests.
Didn't make sense.
There needs to be 2 separate groups.
Well, I disagree with Dawson. I support anything Jeff Probst does beyond Survivor.
He's just a great.
You're still trying to get on Survivor.
Jeff, I'll see ya.
He's just genuine. He's genuinely a great guy. When we were there, we were literally there
nice.
episode 2, I think, and he was talking to us in between because we were with Christina Cha, who was on the season before you, I believe, and Survivor One World, and and he came over and talked to us for a while. He's like, hey guys, what do you guys think? What should I do? What kind of questions should I ask?
And Portia Briggs from Big Brother, the runner-up, he let her co-host the show.
Yeah.
She said, I'm an aspiring host, and he said, come up on stage and take us to commercial.
And apparently, he brought almost his entire crew at the Jeff Probst show was from Survivor, and it's a different thing. When you're working in the wilderness, then you try to go into a studio setting, it's like trying to tame a wild beast. It just doesn't work. You know, they're so great at what they do, and hopefully they'll do it for 30 more seasons, but he'll have something else come along.
Well, Jeff, we wish you the best of luck, and we know we'll be seeing you more than just Survivor, and it's awesome. So last thing, guys.
And if there's a slot open, we're happy to take over for
Yes, right. And I also want to mention real quick, you guys, if you guys like these mugs in front of us, go to the AfterBuzz store. Go to our website, AfterBuzzTV.com. You guys can purchase these mugs. We also have them in black. If you just had a baby, we've got baby onesies, we've got sweatshirts, all kinds of fun stuff on there. You can get Maria's book on there as well. And also we've got what is the actual date of the Serial Buddies release? Can you tell us that information?
I think it's March 8th.
I believe so. Serial Buddies starring Maria Menounos comes out March 8th. You guys get online, watch the trailer. It's really hilarious. It's a different take on a serial killer type of genre film. Great. It's so funny. Check that out, you guys.
So real quick, before we go, predictions real quick. Let's predict let's predict who we think is going to win this season or go far. Dun, dun, dun. So Ryan, who do you think? And if you know spoilers, do not tell us anything.
Dun, dun. Go to somebody else then.
Oh gosh. I'm gonna put it out there. I hope a fan wins this season. And looking at the fans, if I'm going to say anybody, right now I would put my money on Michael or Matt. Those are my
That's exactly
picks.
what I was going to say. That's exactly what I was going to say. I say watch out for those two. That's an interesting alliance to me. On the favorite side, I still am going to hold true to this. I think watch out for Michael. For Malcolm. He has an advantage coming back, not being known by any of these people. And also Brenda. Brenda's laying low right now, and she is a smart.
She's a social gamer.
Watch out.
I would say Dawn is a big social gamer too.
Yeah, and she's
sweet,
lovable.
Endearing.
If Dawn can take that, everybody thinks that she's honest 100% of the time, and actually play that and use it to her advantage. I would love to see her win too.
Right. Yeah. I think it's going to be an exciting
Dawson, how about you? Who you picking?
Yeah, if I'm going, I think the fans are going to have a rough season this season. I mean, honestly, I love them so much, but I think we're going to have a rough time. But those two, I think Matt's going to do really well. And that alliance is going to have a come from behind, definitely for sure. They're going to get rid of these kids. These cool kids are going home. And as far as the favorites go, I want to put my money on Erik. He's such a huge fan. Unfortunately.
Well, we will see. We'll see. And next week we see a huge Brandon Hance blow up, so we got to definitely get excited and tune in for that.
Yeah, that's in the preview.
We'll see. Yeah, the preview for next week. Brandon Hance, shocker, blow up. So yeah, that's Survivor season premiere, and let's go around and share our Twitter accounts.
You guys can follow me on Twitter at _AJ Gibson. Also, please check out my website, ajgibson.tv.
And on Twitter, I am Ryan A. Carrillo, and on Facebook, Ryan Allen Carrillo.
follow me on Twitter at Survivor Dawson.
Love it. Oh.
And I'm Justin F. Walter on Twitter, and then Justin Walter Host on Facebook. So yeah. That's it.
That's it. We survived.
We survived. Very excited. We're going to have an awesome season. Dawson, thank you so much for joining us. We'll definitely have you back again this season.
And also, let's just tease next week. We've got a new co-host coming in starting next week. Jerry Manthe is going to be here. We love Jerry.
Yeah. So, and Jerry brings that perspective of being from season 2 and being on 3 different seasons. It's going to be awesome. So
pretty cool stuff.
Super excited for another season of Survivor. So make sure to definitely post your comments, and we're excited to be with you guys all season long.
All right.
Woo.
Take care.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.